were separate enough. Yeah. City and county.
Going live.
All right.
I won't get down on hot night. How y'all doing?
We're going to call the meeting to order. Although it doesn't look like it, Alderwoman Beth Ross is with us remotely. She's on the speaker. She's not feeling well, so she is at home, but she is in attendance, and we'll be taking votes at this meeting. If I could have someone, could I have Charlotte Robinson come up and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance before we get started?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Charlotte. I want to present you with this hotel pin, the official pin for the city of Hernando. Thank you so much for leading us in the pledge.
Thank you.
Good job. Alderman Miller, would you give our invocation for us?
Would y'all join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, Lord, we come. We are thankful for you allowing us to see and witness another day. We thank you, Lord, for all your many blessings. We ask you now, Heavenly Father, we look out for the welfare of this city and this business, that you would guide our thoughts and our decisions. We pray, Heavenly Father, that every decision that we make, first, Heavenly Father, be pleasing in thy sight. Continue, Lord, to bless our soldiers wherever they might be. And, Lord, we continue, Lord, to give you all the glory and the praise. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Could I have a motion to approve this amended agenda in front of you?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion passes. Can I have a motion to approve the adjusted docket of claims?
Mayor, I had a quick question on one item. It's docket number 46456, the accounts payable clearing from the utility fund.
Mm-hmm.
So I just noticed a big ticket item, so I was just wondering what exactly that is.
Madam Clerk, can you remember what that is? Was that some of the large amounts we had to pay out on the AWG project?
I believe so, because that's on this code right here.
That's in the 400.
Yeah, is that where we do the deduct some of the office checks? And then go to two from?
Right. It is.
Yeah, these are office checks that we do before we do the docket, and that's the due from.
Okay.
And so it's the total.
Okay. All right.
Can I have a motion to approve the docket of claims?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the dockets of claims listed on the agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The claims docket is approved. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the regular mayor and board of aldermen meeting on January 18th, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. And that motion passes. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is a motion to approve the personnel docket.
And this is with the, I think we changed one.
Yeah, Mr. Edlund is not on there. He declined to take the position. So other than that one, it would be the same.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the personnel docket.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion passes. Next is the approval to proclaim Arbor Day as February 11th, 2022.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes.
Mayor, is it possible to take items 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 in a block? They're all to closed streets.
I think we could.
Save some
So,
time.
and I will read these off. Well, number 10 is the request from the Chamber of Commerce to temporarily close the streets for the Water Tower Festival on September 24th from 4 to 9. Number 11 is the Chamber request to temporarily close the streets for the Christmas Parade on Monday, December 5th. Line up at 5:30 with the parade to begin at 6:30. Number 12 is the request from the Optimist Club to temporarily close the streets for the A Fair in Hernando. We have that every year. This is the same as usual. And their 5K on May 21st, 2022 from 5 to 6:30 p.m. And the request from the DeSoto County Board of Supervisors to close the square for Earth Day on April 23rd from 7 to 2 p.m. The Farmers Market and Arts Council will be participating in the Earth Day celebration. And finally, the request from the Hernando Arts Council to close Memphis Street as part of Earth Day on April 23rd from 7 to 2. I have a motion to approve all of those. Actually, all right, go ahead. There's a motion.
I have one question.
There's a question.
And I know it's 2 p.m. is early. This is this Saturday, correct?
For the Earth Day?
On April
Yeah.
23rd, it's a Saturday, yes.
Now, they do have weddings and things at that place, and sometimes it starts at midday. I just want to make sure that all that was clear and there's no conflict.
Were we actually authorized who could do a wedding on the square?
No, we talking about the
Oh,
business.
sorry.
The Arts Council is the one requesting Memphis Street.
I know, I wasn't talking about you, I was just saying, but
Right.
I think we could approve it, tending to that, there's not being a conflict.
So
If that
as
makes
long as we
sense.
don't conflict with the Memphis Street?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I'll contact them.
Yeah.
And Rachel, you're representing the Optimist Club. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, there should have also been a request in there for the sponsorship that y'all do each year, and I believe it's in your budget, so as long as that's already approved, it may not have made it on the form yet, but that was what I had sent Jessica with some sponsorship form.
All right.
So it's $750, and then we allow you an additional $1750 to bring you to the event sponsorship level.
Yeah, you're saying we're giving $1,750 in,
$750.
In kind.
yeah,
$750 cash.
$750 cash with $1,750
In kind.
in kind to be a major sponsor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all I have now.
okay.
That's not on here, do we need to?
It's
make-
not on here. Maybe we should, since it's not on here and wasn't made public, maybe we should add that to the next agenda. We'll get it done.
Okay.
Does anybody have a problem with that we can see a problem with? We'll add that to the next agenda for the sponsorship request.
Put it in the consent.
Yeah, we'll probably just put that on the consent agenda of the next one.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All right, for all of these temporary street closures for these many different events going on in Hernando, can I have a second to the motion?
I
Second. Go ahead, Mr. Miller.
Hey, yeah.
You're older, you go ahead.
Oh, age discrimination.
There's a motion and a dubious second.
Chad made the motion.
Chad, you made the motion. though.
No,
Doc made the motion.
Doc made the
Okay.
motion.
All right,
Sorry, Doc.
and there's a second by Alderman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. The motion passes. And for all of these groups, we appreciate all that y'all do. This is going to be
Doc.
great events for
Doc,
Hernando.
I think he did that because me and you the two oldest people on the board.
That's right.
But that's okay too, though.
Speak for yourself.
It's okay.
Age is a number, right?
We are going to move on before a fist fight breaks out. Item 15 is approval of the updated Park Pavilion Reservation application. Jared, would you come up and just explain what y'all were trying to do with this? And we may have a little bit of discussion about it and tweak it a little bit.
Could I give him some things to talk about before to get that in that way he can answer everything that I have?
Okay. So this is mostly
No,
over.
Alderman Miller wants to talk first.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm gonna give you I'm gonna make some comments and then you're probably gonna address them in your remarks.
Okay.
First of all, I go up on the rules.
Down at the bottom of the page. And
Bottom row, on the rules, on the, what's that, no water balloons. Then also move on over to it said, no food trucks, no video games, no pop-up shops. And my question is, and you can answer all these, we have city-sponsored events. They call it a different name. we call it the Conger Park Yard Sale, which have pop-ups, which have food trucks at those events. But we finna tell the public, you can't do it, but we advertising that we are doing it. So I'd like to
Sure.
help me explain to someone why we can do it, but they can't do it.
Okay. So on the water balloons, that's mostly a litter issue. It just turns into, when they pop, it just turns into litter on the ground. So that's more of what that is. And also using the water utility at the park, you know, they may not turn it off. You know, that could cause an issue. For the food trucks and the video game trucks, RVs and trailers, that was more of a parking issue. You know, just not blocking off several parking spots at the park. And for the no water slides, that was another utility issue.
No, I didn't address those.
So yes, on the pop-up shops, I guess that would refer to unauthorized pop-up shops, because this wouldn't be a part of the Conger yard sale that we do as an event.
But my point is that if I'm renting it, and I have pop-ups over there, either give away whatever I'm gonna do with it, I have food trucks over there that I'm giving away food, but I can't do it, but you can do it for a profit. And the same thing about water, you know, I understand you said about water, but if you're gonna leave water on, you can turn water on without having balloons. If we're talking about litter, you're gonna have balloons that pop, and that's litter, whether they have water or not.
Right.
And then in one side, you said that you are responsible for cleaning up behind yourself. So if the area that they use have balloons and stuff like that in it, then they are required, according to your contract, to clean it up. But I really think that that's, you know, I think that's, we're taking fun event away from people when they use the park and trying to make it too strenuous.
Sure.
In my opinion, that's just Miller.
I guess the only thing I would submit about the water balloons, as far as like, you know, somebody gets some balloons from Kroger, that's probably 10 or so balloons. Water balloons is tens of water balloons. I mean, typically it's a lot of water balloons.
That's a judgment thing. That's judgment. That's your opinion. You can't give me no facts on that.
Well, I would say like
Right.
this is an application for a park pavilion reservation, not for the entire park. Whereas the Conger Park yard sale is the entire park, is part of the event. So if the trailers and some of these other, you know, pop-up shops are taking additional space away from people who could be going there that day, then it's a little bit more than a reservation for a pavilion.
But there again, if you have an event over there, you're allowed to have parking. If you want to restrict people to, that you can't have certain parking except in a particular area, that's fine. But you're talking about total restriction. That's something totally different. That's just my opinion, you know.
Yeah.
You can vote on how you want. I just want to make my observation known because we're already being criticized that we live by one set of rules, then want the public to do something different. And that's exactly what this is. The city is not renting the park. The city is not renting the park. They're not gonna pay 1 penny for rental. But yet and still they're gonna make money on every thing that's over there. So you can't say that they got the whole park, you're right, at no cost.
Well,
At
I
no
mean, we
cost.
have our costs because we maintain the park, but also the city event is for the entire city versus a private event, which I understand, you know, I'm not totally against food trucks or video game trucks, but maybe that could be an additional rental fee because that's taking up more parking than just the people who would be attending the pavilion party. I do agree about the water balloons. We're usually talking hundreds, and kids could go from the top end of Conger Park to the bottom end, and there could be balloons everywhere.
What was the purpose of putting this application back in front of us? What were we trying to clarify?
It was just a redesign. The only things, information-wise, that changed were we specified, instead of days, business days for when cancellations and things should do. Prices are all the same, but no food trucks, no video game trucks, no RV/trailers, no pop-up shops, no water slides were added.
Those were added to this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Prior to
Are we having
that,
trouble with these items now, when people rent the pavilions? Or is this just something you put in there as a precaution?
so I think it's more of a precaution, mostly for the water balloons. Actually, water balloons were already listed. No water balloons and no confetti were already listed. Confetti because it binds up the lawnmower blades and causes a maintenance issue, and it's also a lot of litter, too.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
What other questions or comments or changes or anything of that nature from anybody?
I just support Alderman Miller. We need to be careful of double standards. And my opinion is we might want to table this and give it a little bit more thought before we approve an application that's protecting us for the future. It's not a problem we're having right now. It's a precaution. And because of the double standard, I just think we might want to give it a little more thought. My opinion.
Any other concerns?
If a food truck or video game truck or whatever did come on site, I mean, where do they plug in and who pays for that power?
So some of them do have generators. I can't speak for all of them, how that would happen, but most do run on generator.
Okay.
But we could put in a notice that you have to run on your own power.
Yeah, I think we've got some plug-ins up under the pavilion, but we don't have any out by the road. And of course, when you're plugging into 110, you don't use much power anyway. You can't use enough to make it noticeable on our power bill. I did hear one of the board members say he would like to possibly table it to work on it a little more, but we don't have a motion on the table.
I'll make a motion to approve the updated Park Pavilion reservation application redesign.
There's a motion to approve it. Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. We'll have a roll call vote.
Alderman Wicker?
Aye.
Alderwoman Ross? Alderman Piper?
Aye.
Alderman Harris?
Nay.
Alderwoman Lynch?
Nay.
Alderman Miller?
Nay.
Alderman Robinson?
And that motion passed 4-3. All right, thank you, Jerry.
Yes, thank you all.
The next item on the agenda is the approval for the police department to transfer Canine Groot to the Koama County Sheriff's Office for $1.
That's a great name for a dog, by the way.
Motion to approve?
Oh, I have a couple questions.
Okay, go ahead.
When did we get Mr. Groot here, and how much did we pay for him?
Chief, can you help us answer these questions? I don't know the answer.
About 2 years ago, and we got him at a discounted rate. He was a little bit older. It was $4,900. We paid for him out of forfeiture.
Any other questions?
Why would we not sell him?
Go ahead,
I have
Chief.
anything to ask him.
We were just trying to, help Koama County. They're in the Canine class also. The Canine that they're in class with now is really, really old. They said he struggles a lot with arthritis to the point that he's just laying down at times. Koama County did not have the funds to purchase a new dog. The handler that has the current dog in the class is a very experienced handler. So we just, trying to help them and stay uniform with what we've done in the past with intergovernmental, transfers to help other organizations out, such as with police cars, fire trucks, phone systems, things of that nature. So that's why we put a dollar on it, just to help them out. The sheriff, I know, really appreciative of Hernando, if you guys approve this.
Is that still Sheriff Jones? Is he still the sheriff there?
I did not talk to him personally. My staff told me that they were just super excited and had been calling. Of course, we told them we couldn't do anything until tomorrow if you guys, bless off on this. So I'm not sure, but I'll sure find out for you.
We just bought in the claims docket, we just bought a dog for $11,000.
Yeah.
And we had a dog, but we're giving that dog away for $1. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's your department.
The workability of the current dog, his handler retired. He's a very, he takes an experienced handler. The handler is a very green handler. He has a couple of hunt dogs. This particular canine group does not do well around other dogs, which, in some cases, it's that happens. And in some cases, as you know, I worked the dog for 7 years. Sometimes the really, really strong dogs, and you just can't put them with a green handler. So this is a good scenario for everybody. And again, he's a little older. He's probably only got a couple of years of service life left in him. So it was either this, or we try to reach out to a center for retired canines and get them to take him. I just think that this is a better choice.
Any other questions, concerns? If not, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no.
No.
And there is one nay. Motion passes. Item 17 is the approval for Jared Barkley to sign an agreement with Entergy to install wood poles and LED floodlights for the parking areas and playgrounds at the Civic Center ball fields. And we're recommending option 1, and y'all have got it in your packet. The cost would be about $2,135 annually. We have had lots of concerns about the parking lots just not having enough light, and there is no light actually shining on the playground. So when the parents are sending their younger kids to the playground and it's after dark, it's pretty much a pretty dangerous situation. So we would just pay a monthly bill on these lights like we do all of our other lights in the city, and it would be about $2,135 a year. And we think that would just be a good addition without a lot of expenditure to make that park a little more usable.
Since the budget was so tight, where are we gonna get the additional funding from? I'm in agreement with what you're saying. I want to talk about the funding side of it now.
It'll hit next year's budget more than it'll hit this year's, because it's taking them forever to get light poles put up. So I don't think we're going to see many months of it in this year's budget. But Jerry, did you want to speak to that?
Looking ahead at the budget, we've got a little bit of wiggle room that we've got. So if we need to amend for this year's budget, and like the mayor said, it probably would affect next year's budget more than this year's budget. But we'll work it into next year's budget and amend if we have to for this fiscal year.
It's going to have to be amended, because I think the money that you're talking about going to be there is probably off in personnel somewhere.
Right.
And this right here won't be in personnel, so it's going to have to be a budget amendment either way it goes.
And we know
Right. Yes, sir.
we're going to have a stack of budget amendments
Yes.
coming soon, because we've had some heaters go out that we weren't expecting that had to be fixed. So we're going to have to shift some money within the parks budget in an amendment soon.
And Mayor, I don't want to, I think, if we're aware of now of those budget amendments, if we 30 and 60 days, I think we need to go on and amend the budget.
Yeah, we can put that on the next agenda.
You know what I'm saying? But ain't no
Yeah.
need to wait 6 and 9 months into the budget, know it got to be amended, then we have a bunch of amendments. I think that's being frugal, and then we can actually give us a better sight of where we are financially.
Madam Clerk, can you get those together?
I mean, that's just my recommendation.
Yeah, it's about time. It is. We're close to halfway through the year. Do we have a motion on this item?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, that was option one. Next is the approval to accept the proposed agreement with Kimberly Horn, PLA, for master planning of Renaissance Park, and for me to sign the agreement. The city attorney has reviewed the agreement for legal stuff and is okay with the text of it. The idea for this, of course, is we're discussing a long-range parks planning and how to fund it. And the next piece of that is going to be that we've got to figure out what it's going to cost. And we're going to have to know that. We're going to have to go through an exercise of engaging this board and citizens and stakeholders and figuring out exactly what we want that park to look like. And a couple of the other parks may need some upgrades. So it's spelled out in their contract. I just think this is the next step. We're going to have to get some estimated numbers attached to it once we decide as a board what projects we want to do in it. And I think we've talked to this group. Some of them live in Hernando, have kids actively involved in our parks. They care. That's a big piece of this. There are lots of qualified engineering groups out there, but having some who are actively involved in Hernando and have a heart for it, I think is going to help us make better decisions. I know a couple of times when I've talked on the phone, when I've gotten through, I've said, how do you feel as a citizen about this? You know, and so it's always good to have both sides of that. So I would recommend that we approve this agreement. And we don't have it budgeted. What I would propose is that we are coming in way over revenue estimates in our sales tax revenues. We are $140,000 above last year. And if you really look at where we ended up last year, we ended up at 4,960, I think, 4,960,000. We only budgeted 4.8 million, so we're on track to be way over 4.9. So there's going to be quite a bit of money there that I think we could use without going into our contingency fund, keep our contingency fund intact for actual emergencies, and use these newly found revenues from overages and sales tax to fund that. That would be my suggestion.
Now, with everything else you said, but also, you know, I know you stated that he have children in the program, that he is a citizen, but I think you need to tell the board and the audience that he's qualified to do the work.
Yes, we need to make that part of the minutes. This firm has put forth their statement of qualifications.
Well, I'm just saying, I think
and
that's
they are
important.
very, very qualified. And I will make note that one of the reasons we called them to start with is many citizens have driven down the interstate and looked over to the right at Centertovia's new ball fields and said, why can't we have that? Well, they designed Centertovia's ball fields. So they've got some close by history, and they've done many other projects, but they have done things close to home that we can lay our eyes on and know that we can trust them, and they are qualified.
Yeah, I just wanted that to be in the record.
And I think one thing we need to clarify too, the way it's written on the agenda, it seems like it's just Renaissance Park. This is also going to be the Civic Center, the soccer complex, and Milton.
Our entire program.
Yeah, just basically the entire city, so it's not just one central location.
It's a good clarification.
So, just so the citizens know that it's the entire Parks Department, basically.
Y'all have any questions? Would you like to say something?
Sure, just wanted to say thank you. Henry Minor, I know I've met some of you, others I haven't gotten a chance to meet yet, but my family and I, we've been living here for a little over 6 years, and, you know, I'm a soccer coach, baseball coach, we're heavily involved, and so just an honor to be able to be here and have the opportunity to work on this, and so we'd be happy to answer any questions y'all may have.
Any other questions from anybody? If not, can I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. All right.
Thank you so much.
Passes. Let's get to work. Next is the approval for the resolution for Pennies for the Parks. In my absence a couple weeks ago, the board authorized proceeding with a funding mechanism and authorized me to work towards that end. And I've been in close contact with Senator McClendon, and even more so with State Representative Jerry Darnell. He put us in touch with an attorney for the House of Representatives who will actually be drafting the bill that he will introduce. Then once it passes the House, hopefully, then it would go to the Senate, and then Senator McClendon would take it up. So Pam worked very closely with that attorney last week and came up with the resolution that you have in front of you that's worded the way they would want it worded. Once y'all pass this resolution, I will sign it tonight. She will put the seal on it. We will forward it down there, and then I will hand deliver one to Representative Darnell tomorrow morning when I go to Jackson for the MEDC conference. So that's where we are on that. And I know there might be some discussion or questions, so.
I think the resolution's okay. I do have a question about kind of the timeline for this thing. I mean, so I understand it has to be done by the 23rd of February.
That's right.
So it's approved, and what's the next step after that? Do we have a timeline for a referendum, or?
So what I'm hearing from our senator and our state representative are that the actual bill may dictate a date for the election. It may be set in there, and it would be this summer, hopefully. It might be in conjunction with congressional elections that are already going on. However, that throws a kink in it because those congressional districts are different than our city districts, so that might not work. But I think they're going to dictate when we hold the election. But I do think that's a great point to bring up, that whatever comes out of our work with Kimberly Horn, and this board approves which things we're going to present, it will be in a list as clearly defined as you could ever want, and the citizens will know what they vote on. They'll absolutely know which projects they're voting on. So that will be part of it. And I know I've talked to Jerry Darnell, I've talked to Senator McClendon, and I've also talked to Representative Dan Eubanks. And so just so y'all are very clear, I promised Representative Eubanks I would pass along his concerns. He is known for voting no on local and privates, and he said he is not against a referendum, but what he would be against is us coming back later and just asking to extend it without the citizens voting again. So I wanted to pass that along to this board. I told him I would. He said if it was presented that way, he would not be opposed to it.
From my conversation with Senator McClendon, that's kind of a concern he had as well.
It is. I think Senator McClendon's about on the same page there. So it may be that that's how the bill gets written and presented by Representative Jerry Darnell.
Every 4 years?
You know, it might be that this first one, well, you know, I think I sent y'all out a statement that said based on our current tax numbers, we could see somewhere probably a little over $900,000 a year raised on this 2 cents on prepared food. And I don't know, we've talked in some generalities. This plan, depending on what we do, could be a $10 million plan. So $900,000 a year would have to go quite a few years to get to 10 million. So it may be that we ask for it to come back around in not the next municipal elections, but the ones after that, to give us at least 7 years of it, so we could actually get a bond, knowing revenues were coming in, and a bond company would give us the money. So that may be what we asked for, and then it comes back up at the municipal election when everybody's running anyway. So we're not trying to hide the election from anybody. We want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to vote, and it doesn't feel like we're trying to slip something in.
I think we do need to be careful. If it's in the summer, you're going to have people out on vacation and things.
That's right.
So that may be something to look at.
Yeah, I think it's very critical that we have it when kids are back in school and parents are back at their jobs so they can come vote. You're right. When people are on vacation, we would miss a lot of people.
The middle of baseball season will be good. Everybody's complaining, they can go vote for it.
So if everybody's okay with it, can I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Mayor, before you get to that,
Yes,
I want to
Alderman
point out
Harrison.
one typo.
Okay.
Bottom of the page, adopted.
Oh, yeah, that got misspelled.
Adopted.
Yep,
She's got it up on her computer in there so she could change it if she needed to after we're done tonight.
thank you.
Would you think it'd be beneficial to include in our resolution what we talked about, the every 4 years or something like that? Is that
I think it could be, yeah.
just to let them
I would
understand?
think, you know, I would think that let them make that call down there. I don't think we need to put it on the front end because they might have a change of heart. I don't know how to, you put it in the
Yeah,
resolution,
you could be
then
right, yeah.
you send yourself, you
Then we
trapping
box
yourself.
ourselves in.
I mean, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Good point.
All right, is there a motion?
I had a quick question for our city
Yeah.
attorney. On, a lot of times in things like this, when there's like a long list of, like naming types of businesses that this includes, and then ones that are excluded, it can't be like a full list. Like there are things that people come along and, that are, it may come along 3 years from now and it's not included in this list, but it's similar, or they ask to be excluded because of certain, is there any kind of like legal term for that at all? Like if there's something that's not specifically named in this, but they could be included or excluded? Does that make sense? Kinda. I'm sorry.
I will say that this language came directly from the attorney at the House of Representatives.
Okay, well, that's pretty good.
If that
That's pretty
helps.
good.
We don't need to
Seems
change.
pretty broad, in general,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not really.
Yeah, we didn't make that language up. The attorney told us to put it there.
got it.
so.
Okay.
Okay.
And from research, and they all look about like that. They all look the same.
Yeah. I will say this, so everybody's very clear. When she sent me the first email, the attorney, she said it needs to state in there, this is for tourism and parks and rec. And I was very specific that the citizens in this board are not for spending this on tourism. This is not tourism. This is only parks and rec. Because, that's just how they generally say them. But we want to make sure this is very transparent and very clear, very direct, so the citizens know parks and recreation, capital improvements only. That's what we're going to be doing here. And allowing the citizens to vote if they want to do it or not. So I thought that was important, we not put the word tourism in there. Anything else? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the Penny of the Parks.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion passed to allow the citizens to have a referendum vote down the road, hopefully. Next is item 20, the approval for Mayor Johnson to sign a contract for design of the police department Sally Port with AERC. The city attorney has reviewed that. Our thoughts were, we cleaned out the whole back of that building where the Sally Port's going to go, and also where Compel Church is storing their stuff. We haven't seen that part of the building in 10 years. It's nice to see it cleaned out. And so we were discussing the Sally Port, and I thought that it was probably wise for us to start the official design of it so that when the revenues do, when we see for certain that 6 months in we have enough revenues, which it looks like we're going to get to, but we would actually have a design ready and also have an estimate, a good estimate from the architect and engineers. So that's why we're presenting this tonight, to go ahead and just kind of get the ball rolling on that.
I remember back during the budget, so do we have a budget for this project? I think it was $300,000 back then, if I remember correctly.
I think it was either 300 or 350. 350, yeah. So, and hopefully, we come in under that number, because I know we don't have a lot of wiggle room. So this will get us started towards knowing a little better. I know that the chief and assistant chief have been working with a contractor and gotten some roundabout prices, but once it's actually engineered and designed, then we'll have a better idea. Chief?
The contractor who met with us a few days, did everything for us for free. They had one day where they had all their MEPs come out and looked at everything, and they all took it back and tried to estimate high at the time. Obviously, we know materials have gone up, but it came back at 318. So, and they were trying to shoot high. So we're very hopeful and optimistic that we can get under that number.
Okay.
I just don't want to get in the same situation when we did with the animal shelter, where we have no money budgeted, and the animal shelter comes back at $900,000 or whatever, and we have $240,000 budgeted. That's the only concern I have.
Okay.
And then secondly, we're talking about borrowing this money, right? Or are you talking about using sales tax revenue over?
I think we budgeted that item to borrow, didn't we? Or was it, no, that was budgeted in there. That was just to pay for this year, that's right.
So there's $350,000
In the budget, that's right. It was just an outright budgeted item.
For some reason, I thought there was principal and interest
I did
payments.
too.
That was on the list.
On the cars?
I will email all of you back with the exact answer to that question tomorrow, just to be certain, because I don't have the budget in front of me right now. Pam, will you?
Unless it changed, you brought it to the budget meeting and had I had factored in principal and interest, but your budget that you originally had it
Just paying for it in the, okay. But we'll clarify that tomorrow in an email.
And then, Mr., he's charging $200 an hour, I guess, basically, is what he's gonna charge to do it.
Yeah.
And he's done some stuff at the animal shelter, that's well worth it.
Yeah, he has done all that for free, so. And we know he does good work. He's right down the road and has a good reputation around here, has done lots of things, and is very highly qualified.
And just for clarification, to make sure that the 275 never was stated that that's what the animal shelter will cost. The 275 was just money budget towards the animal shelter, not budget to build the animal shelter, but budget towards the animal shelter. So it never was that.
All right, can I have a motion on that item?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. That motion passes. Next is to authorize the Public Works Director to sign an agreement with U.S. Locates LLC as a subcontractor to perform the city's water and sewer locates, and the city attorney has reviewed that agreement. Lee is here along with the gentleman from the company. And in a nutshell, we cannot find enough workers and we cannot keep a locator on staff. And so this is the route we're trying to head.
Yes, sir. We just need to take care of the locates, bottom line. We went through 5 locators in the past year and a half. Some got promoted within, others quit for monetary reasons, others quit for other reasons. On average, last year we had 8,364 locates that we did. That's the physical year, January to December. And be happy to answer any questions you guys have. Trying to see about anything else. There should be 2 quotes there, one from USIC and one from US Locates.
And to be very clear, you are proposing to, for at least the rest of this budget year, get rid of the position of locator and replace it in a budget amendment that we'll be doing soon
Yes, sir.
with the hiring of this company.
That's how we want to pay for that, yes, sir. All that's been budgeted for. As far as the position goes, there's enough money there to cover the expenditure. They're just piling up, locates are piling up. Every day, we have to pull guys off of stuff, pull water crew guys, pull meter guys, old locators that are moved up to the water crew, moved up to billing accountability supervisor, and it's just becoming a headache every single day.
And just so everybody's really clear on what's going on, you know, we're getting a lot of fiber run. These companies are running fiber and cable and stuff through the whole city, which is good for our citizens, but every time they do it, they call in a locate.
That's right.
And we've got to go out there and mark our utilities.
Or they
And
call in a
it's-
project, and we have to locate it for a year, every 10 days.
Yep.
So there's nothing we can do about that. So, and like I said, Mr. Allister's here, if you guys have any questions about his credentials or anything like that, or if he wants to just tell you a little bit about himself.
I want to go back to the funding side. That number that's listed in there,
Yes, sir.
that's the minimum amount, correct? That number could go up. I just want to,
Which number?
49,000.
49,000.
No, sir.
It's not gonna go up.
It won't go up until it's bid out next year, if we continue on this route.
Okay, when you said this year, how long is this contract? Is it the budget year, is it 1 year, is it 365 days? How long is this contract?
No, sir, this one goes through February, which is tomorrow, February 3rd through September.
So it's a year, just a year, 365 days?
No, sir.
No, from February through
No, sir.
September 30th.
It's gonna go just through the rest of this, end of this budgeted year.
So we're talking about
6 months.
6 months,
6, 7 months, yes, sir.
49,000, 6 months.
Yes, sir.
So with 49,000, 6 months, then if I'm, you know, I'm from an old school and I didn't go too far. So if it's 49, can I just use 50 for a round number?
Sure.
So next budget year, I know you're gonna ask for an increase. I ain't seen anybody come in didn't have an increase. So we talking about $100-some thousand next year.
It's gonna be over $100,000 next year.
Oh, okay then.
Going by his projected numbers as far as the cost he gave me and the.
So what did that cost then, since you know, what is that projected number?
I believe it was around 117,000,
Oh, so it's going up more than 100%.
depending on the locates.
No, you just told me 117, now it went from 49 to 50.
That's by these numbers this year.
Right.
Next year's numbers could be different.
Okay,
They vary each year. We average 900 and something locates a month during the summer, during the hot times, and it's much less in the winter.
All right. So I hope that we ain't looking at kicking the folks' bills up.
Oh, no.
So you know where I'm going with this.
I do. No, we're not.
I don't want to, in this next budget time, I need an increase in all my rates. Because we got some other stuff coming up in a little later on that's gonna do something with that budget also. So you're gonna say, I need to increase my water rates, garbage rates, to pay for all these things. I don't, you know. I'm gonna be, you know.
I don't think we'd have to, because I feel like we put over $1 million into contingency based on the current year budget. So we should have a,
We didn't
we should
increase
have-
my budget any this year at all.
Well.
I understand the
you know what I said?
concerns, though.
I have sat on this board. I seen what this department come in here and tell us. We are operating at a deficit. We need to raise this money. Raise the money, and voila. Didn't use none of it except went in contingency. And the folks' rates went up like that. That's just my opinion.
I
though.
understand.
Doc, you with him when that happened?
I was.
Oh, okay, then. I just one thing I was just talking. Yeah, I'm through now. It's on the record what I want to say.
Is it not possible at all to pass some of this cost on to the people who we have to locate for?
I
Fiber optic company?
wish there was, but there's not.
There's no legal way to do that.
They just get to put their stuff in our right of ways and it costs us money.
Not only do we pay that, we pay almost $2 for every time a locate is called in, that we have to pay 811 in Cortera.
And you know,
That we use.
I do think it's worth us asking our legislative group in Jackson, you know, because these people a lot of them are using our right of ways and we're getting almost very minimal franchise fees from them.
Yeah,
And it's costing us more to do the locates than we're receiving in revenue. And they're out there making a profit.
I remember a couple of months ago, I think we passed a resolution or a contract with a company to kind of increase our franchise fees for
audit-
ceasefire.
yeah, to audit them
Make
and
sure,
talk to
I think we're getting
Mm-hmm.
shorted on those.
Yeah.
Is that not monies we recoup in that can be used to pay for this?
Hopefully we recoup some. They're still in the middle of the audit.
Because it sounds like
Yeah.
we're operating at a loss here, and we're going to continue, like, to Mr. Miller's point, you know, the city's just going to get bigger, so.
Right, more work, more.
Locates are a necessary evil, obviously, and we don't have any way to get refunded for them. We just don't. There's no mechanism out there that allows us to charge those back to anybody. They just have to be absorbed in the utility department.
To touch on
Is
what
there
you said too, I'm sorry. We have, you know, the damaged utilities that they hit when they come into town, you know, that we also have to pay for to
Yep.
fix, if it's improperly marked.
And we do improperly mark quite often because we don't know where all the North Mississippi utility lines are.
Right.
There's a lot of old lines in downtown Hernando. We don't quite know where they are.
Yes, sir.
So we're just doing the best we
Was
can.
there not a project at GPS, some of those or something, I think?
Yes, sir.
last
Yes, sir.
time?
We're on track doing that. We've GPSed a ton of meters, valve bodies, and sewer manholes, lift stations, so on and so forth. But without digging a water main up and exposing it to the daylight, we're not able to pinpoint the accuracy of it. Now, when a new water line goes in, a new sewer line goes in, any
putting
kind
it
of
in.
utility goes in the ground, of course, we GPS it if we repair it. If we're replacing it, then we put a wire on it or have the contractor put the wire on it, just like the AWG project.
So at some point, we'll have everything done in the city at some point.
At some point, yes, sir.
Okay.
Whenever it breaks, when we dig it up, we GPS it.
Well, like, I know when they busted the thing there by Wendy's, there's a lot of businesses that was affected by that.
A lot. And that was, fortunately and unfortunately, that was properly marked utilities, so we did recoup all the repair cost of that and the water loss.
Yeah, we billed them $6,000 or $7,000.
Can those businesses sue that guy to hit the line for lost revenue?
You know, one of the businesses called and asked me that question,
He's
and I
talked to me as
told him he
well,
needed
so.
to talk to an attorney because I wasn't sure. Yeah, because there were a lot of restaurants that had to close down that day.
A lot.
So if it's not marked correctly though, and there is damage, that goes back to you and not the city, correct?
No locate company is responsible for excavation activities. The excavators will have their own insurance for that.
But is it marked incorrectly? Back to what he said, now, come on. He said that whoever marked it incorrectly, which in this case was the city because we had to locate it, then we had to bite the bullet. But if you mark it incorrectly, we bite the bullet. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah,
Just a yes or no. I mean,
no
pretty simple
locate
question.
company on Earth.
I mean, come on now. It's a yes or no answer. Either if you improperly mark it,
we're not liable.
And we got to eat the cost.
I don't know who, I don't know
You're
who's
not
the
liable,
cost,
though.
but we're not liable.
Oh, okay, then that's pretty.
Is that the industry
Pretty good
standard?
answer.
So that's industry standard. No one would insure us if we were liable for excavation.
That's a heck of a deal right there.
Yeah, man, that means you get anything you want for your business, but then you're gonna know you can't lose. I mean, you really can't. You can't lose.
On a positive note, we have done over 3,000 sites with no line strikes. So our training is very good. Our procedures are very good. So our track record over the past 4 years, we've had no issues with that. I train everyone myself, and we use conductive, inductive, and passive scans. So we're over industry standard for our capabilities. So we do a really good job, and we haven't had an issue yet in 4 years. So.
Do you do anybody here locally besides?
Not locally, but we do locates for Enbridge, Williams, Boardwalk Gulf South, Texas Gas, Curitin Midstream, Discovery Midstream, United Power out in Colorado.
No other municipalities?
No other. This is our first municipality.
I think the bottom line is we just cannot, I mean, we've got to do these things, we have to, and we just can't find people to do them. And that's across the whole city, you know, private businesses and all our departments are having staffing issues. Yes,
Is it a pay level thing or what?
I think it's pay and I think it's stress because, like Mr. Johnson said, a lot of our utilities, all we have is paper mapping. So anybody that takes pride in their work that goes out and does locates is going to take it overly seriously, and it's going to be, I don't want to use the word devastating, but hurtful to their pride, you know, and their morale if something gets hit. And a lot of people just can't take the pressure of damaged utilities on their watch. But the last two have left the money, to answer your question.
Any other questions?
No.
Do you think next year you're going to ask for an increase, I guess, in whatever line item you pay this out of?
Yes, sir, I would love to. Just to keep it going, especially if we build a good relationship and everything works out, like I hope and think it will. I would love to do that and bid it out next year before budgetary time comes around.
I mean, it's really close to the limit to have to bid. I'm sure that wasn't done intentionally. But maybe next time, I'd like to see that maybe bid it out next time.
Absolutely.
Would this be considered a professional service? That would it still fall underneath those bidding?
Absolutely. I would think so. Definitely professional service.
Any other questions? If not, is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Look forward to working with you.
Me too.
Next, item 22, authorize the Water Department to surplus the master meter manual reading equipment with the serial numbers listed on your agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And that motion passes. Joe Frank, could you come up and talk to us about item 23? We have 2 requests for water service in new subdivisions that are going to be locating barely outside the city limits.
Okay, I think y'all have asked to let you know and let you approve subdivisions that are outside city limits that need water and sewer. So these two tonight, Getwell Gardens, if you're up at the intersection of Bayou Road and Getwell Road and you turn south, it's a vacant piece of property, maybe 500 feet, 500 or 600 feet on the west side of the road. You got a plat there of it. It's some 1.5 acre lots.
Where will they hook onto our water?
The water runs along Getwell Road.
So
I think
they will
it's over on the opposite side, though. It's over on the east side.
So we won't be incurring any expense
That's
supplying
right.
them this water?
No expense.
So they'll hook onto our water at their expense, and then we will eventually end up with some other water customers on there.
That's correct.
Do we have enough capacity there for those?
Yes, we do.
And then since it's all on one line item, what about the Iris subdivision?
Okay,
Same request.
That's part of Dale Wilson's development out here going on Brights Road and Jaybird Road. And this is a parcel that's next to really Mark Utley's development that's going on. It kind of, this piece is separated from Dale Wilson's other section by lake there, so. It's
So
good.
do we have capacity right now to supply that whole subdivision, or just parts of it, or?
We have capacity right there.
We do have capacity. Okay.
It's 8-inch line there.
I thought we were at some concern about the capacity at one of the
At the,
stations
yeah,
over there.
at the Jaybird.
96, 97.
But that Jaybird plant supplies that or not?
Yes, it does.
And so you think we're still okay even though we're at 92% capacity?
Well, we're getting close to being in capacity.
And I do want to remind everybody that probably the, you know, the list we turned in of projects we want to do with the ARPA funds that we're hoping for a match for, I would suspect that the very first one we're going to do is the Jaybird water plant upgrades and the Holly Springs Road connection to the Water Road plant, because that one is shovel ready. Joe Frank's already done the plans, and they've been approved by the health department. So I think as soon as we know where our funding's coming from, that would hopefully be the first one we approve to get started on.
That bill has been approved out of the Senate. I've been watching that.
It has.
Waiting on the House to do something.
Yep. So, but you're saying even without those upgrades, we would be okay approving both of these?
Yeah, we can send some water from the Lauder Road plant
Okay.
through that system.
But we're going to
Brights
be
Road.
in much better shape once we do the improvements we just talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know Mr. Utley's going to be asking for it just north of this Iris subdivision as well.
Okay, I think the last administration signed that.
Right.
Go ahead.
But we're
I
not
think
talking about
it's-
having houses for a couple of years probably, right? Do you think maybe?
Maybe into this year.
Yeah. When-
Yeah.
I see you.
Yeah, it'll be,
Can you tell me when you think your first houses will come online?
As far as ours goes, it wouldn't be any sooner than a year.
Okay.
That's an estimate, but if, you know, we're focused on Orchard side on Bright Road right now, and so that's in the future, but that's sooner than a year.
Okay. So Joe Frank, you feel comfortable advising this board that we do have the capacity to say yes to this?
I do.
Okay. I would also like to add that if someone makes a motion, we are talking about supplying water to some groups who are outside the city limits. I would like personally for that motion to include the language that if we approve this water, that they would put it on their plat and not object to annexation by the city in the future. Because we are offering city services to groups outside the city limits. Beth, Alderwoman Ross, did you say something?
I said I totally agree. If we can't keep providing sewer and water to non-city developments.
Okay. In case y'all couldn't hear it, Alderwoman Ross said she totally agreed with that.
But at the same time, I want to be mindful. Just because somebody annexed, it don't mean that the city reap positive benefit in cash flow.
That's true.
It actually,
That's true.
annexation costs the city. It costs the rest of the citizens,
It does in some cases, for sure.
in my opinion.
Yep.
But I think I'm right about that, though.
I think you're
Mhm.
right about that.
Yep.
But I understand what you're saying now.
Yeah. We
But
did,
we're not, you know, I hope I don't be sitting on this board when you invoke that, though. Cause it costs, man. And then, on the other side, the flip side of it, we're able to charge them a rate higher than we charge our citizens for that benefit that they get.
right.
Now, that's the only thing I think we might need to revisit and look at, is what we're charging our customers outside the city.
That's a very good point.
Because it's causing us more now to provide those services, so we need to look at, are we getting, you know, the bang for the citizen dollar by providing those extra service to somebody else?
And I will say that there is a bill in the Senate that Senator McClendon sent to me and asked me if I supported it, that would not let us charge more to people outside the city limits. And I told him that I
Ain't no
personally
way.
would be opposed to that, because
They wouldn't get no
people
service.
using our water outside the city don't
And
pay
they
for it
pay
like
more
we
taxes.
do, so,
No.
anyway. So I advised him we would want him to vote against that.
Do we have a number, how many, just estimate, how many we have outside the city using water? Is it quite a bit, or?
Joe, do you or maybe Lee know?
I don't.
Okay.
How many?
3,000.
We've talked about raising the tap fees
Yeah.
Outside the city, yep.
Uh-huh. So I
because if North Mississippi had this system right now, they would charge them $500 a lot on the front end. And I feel like we're losing that money, and that we're not getting, and we can't charge the fee like he did.
Could you and Lee work together to come up with a recommendation to this board about what you think the tap fee should be?
Sure.
Okay.
If we were to turn this down, where would they get water from? They'd have to dig a well?
They'd have to do wells.
So basically, we could approve this a continuance up on, us revisiting, looking at our scale. Correct?
We can do whatever the board wants to do.
Well, I'm just saying, because we gotta look at our cost factor, so we could approve this tonight, subject to a review of the cost of providing those services.
And here's a good way to
You know,
look
I
at
mean,
it.
just-
You know, we all know that a utility fund's an enterprise fund. All the funds there are supposed to be, all the expenses there are supposed to be paid for with ratepayers' money. And that seems pretty cut and dry. But we're about to spend some ARPA funds that the city has on upgrading that water plant, which will help people outside the city limits. We could, with the new rules, spend that ARPA money on fund stuff we want inside the city limits. So we are taking money away that the taxpayers within the city limits own to kind of help these people outside the city limits. So there is a lot of validity to charging them a different rate than the citizens inside the city, who are giving up a lot for them.
We have a massive development right there in the city limits that don't have water, that's what's holding it up, massive lakes.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the reasons that's holding it up, not that they don't. Okay.
Y'all bring up good points tonight.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I make a motion to approve this subject to a review by our city engineer and our public works director on the cost of providing these services.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. That motion passes. Okay.
Okay.
Joe, you want to do item 24 for us as well?
Okay. I took some quotes on some crack seal projects. Got two quotes. It turned out that both quotes quoted me the same figures. 75 cents per foot seems to be a going rate, I guess. So the first one you see there is Grove Park Subdivision. That takes care of pretty much that entire subdivision, so obviously that's a larger figure. And then Pleasant Bend Cove is a street there off of Parkway and off of, not Parkway, Robinson right there. So that's a lot less, so you can see that figure. So since we've kind of, I did not know the other contractor, but since we've done work with Riley Paving there, and they've done a good job for us, so feel like they're able to do the job.
So basically, you're saying that since both the quotes came in equal in price, your recommendation is to use someone we have used in the past and have a good track record with?
That is my recommendation.
These were two projects that were on the list I guess we turned into you or whatever.
They're on the list. We've got a couple of more that are still on the list that we're going to do.
When can you come back to this board with a list of the bigger projects that may need to be bid out? Or are we going to have to bid in here?
Oh, yeah, we're advertising right now.
Okay,
for
good.
some of them.
All right. When do we open those bids?
March 4th or something
Okay,
like that.
all right. And just so everybody's clear, I think the board's clear, but just for the public, this crack seal is part of a road maintenance project the city is undertaking so that we don't have to do as many overlays. If we maintain the roads with crack seal and things of that nature along the way, we end up in a better situation a few years down the road where we're maintaining and not just overlaying.
These are streets that are probably at least 15 years old, maybe a little bit more. And we've done some repairs in there. And so hopefully this make them last a good bit longer.
Okay. Does anybody want to offer a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept the quote of $31,500 for Grove Park Subdivision crack seal from Riley Paving and a quote of $3,225 for Pleasant Bend Cove crack seal from Riley Paving.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And that motion passes.
Okay.
Would that be included in the language that he offered us also for the reason for accepting that one?
Yeah, we can, if that's
Yeah,
lawful.
the known
sure.
relationship,
Yeah, sure.
we'll make sure that was included. Okay. All right, item 25, we had a lady come to us and wanted to look at our lighting energy efficiency in quite a few of our buildings. And it's a program that a lot of companies offer through Entergy. Entergy has some money out there they will put up. So you can look at these separate contracts and see that in each of our buildings, it averages about a 1.75 or 1.8 year payback on the cost that we'll have out of pocket. And then after that, we just start saving money on our energy bills. So it seems like a good use of our funds. It's not a big expense, and very quickly we will see that we're saving energy on our energy bills in all these buildings. So I think it's a good use of our taxpayer funds, and I think it's looking for efficiencies like most people want us to be doing.
They didn't mention a timeline for completion, did they?
They did not mention a completion timeline, but she did tell me they wanted to get to work on it pretty quickly.
And the only reason is that the county did this as well, and I think it's about 18 months we've been waiting to have ours done. So it's
Really? Okay.
I think it's a, supply chain issue, but, so don't expect anything anytime soon, but.
A lot of ours have been kind of upgraded, so they're closer to, that's why we're not seeing as big of a jump in numbers. We had done some of these projects before. A lot of these are gonna be as simple as taking the ballast out of these fixtures, straight wiring them and putting LED tubes in. So they should be able to get, if they can get the tubes, they should be able to do it. It'll be mostly labor.
What about our streetlights?
The streetlights, we've talked to a company about the possibility of making all our streetlights LED. We had a meeting with the Public Service Commissioner, Brandon Presley. Tunica is in the process of doing this, and Brandon Presley is working with them to get the process ironed out. So basically, there's a few cities like us who have looked at it, but we're all waiting to see how the Tunica deal works out. And then if that works out, we may bring a recommendation to the board at a later date from the same company that's doing Tunica and working through Entergy to do that.
Okay.
Because it's never been done in the state of Mississippi, so they're having to involve the Public Service Commission to a large degree to get this done. Can I have a motion on this item?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The motion passes. Next is to approve to accept the depository bid. As you all know, every 2 years, we have to rebid our city bank. There is now a new law out there that lets us do the option of possibly doing it for 4 years instead of 2. One of these depositories bid on the 2 and the 4 year, and one of them only bid on a 2 year. The city clerk and I have looked them over at length, and I think y'all have all had the opportunity to look at them. It appears that the fees are all very similar, and the real defining factor between the two is the interest rate they'll pay on our deposits. Guarantee Bank is offering 0.1%, and the other bank is, Renaissance is offering 0.025. So it appears to us that the factor is the interest. That's the really deciding factor. So I think the city clerk was going to recommend Guarantee Bank.
If you look at the differences too, one offers just a fixed and one offers a variable.
Right.
So the variable option, based on a rising interest rate environment, which the Fed has proposed raising the rate 3 times this year minimum at 0.25%. The variable is going to give us, locking us in at 0.10 is what the 0.4 is 40% of that targeted rate is. The targeted Fed funds rate.
Mm-hmm.
So if we get to, say, by the end of the year, say that the targeted Fed funds rate ends up being like 0.75, we're going to make 40% of that. So whatever we all decide on, we don't want to lock ourselves into a fixed option for 2 years at 0.10 because the Fed is going to be probably raising rates.
So your recommendation is to go with Renaissance?
Theirs is the one that's theirs is a fixed interest rate. But it's 0.025.
Right.
Okay. Then you look at Guarantee, and Guarantees is a targeted federal funds rate, which is 40% of the current targeted federal funds rate, which is a minimum floor of 0.1.
Okay, so I get it. You were agreeing with us on Guarantee.
She's saying that.
Yeah.
She's saying that if it goes up to
I just wanted
0.75,
everybody
that ours will go up
to
to
see what the
0.3.
difference is. One's a fixed and one's a floating rate.
And Guarantee was saying 0.1 is the floor on theirs. It won't go lower than 0.1, so.
Well, that's almost 0%.
Right.
So yeah, they're just guaranteeing a minimum, but just your possible increases for this year on that targeted federal funds rate is 0.75 to 1%. So that could be 40 basis points versus 0.10 locked in at 10 years with the other bank. And, I looked at the fees side by side, and the fees are, in line. This is the main, like y'all said, deciding factor. One's fixed and one's variable.
Is there any other concerns or questions? Alderwoman Ross, would you like to make a motion?
Did Guarantee give a 4-year?
They did.
No, the 4-year, I wouldn't go with a 4-year.
Okay, and Guarantee didn't offer a 4-year.
Yeah. I don't actually have that in front of me to make the motion.
That's okay.
The way it reads.
If we're through with discussion, would anyone like to offer a motion?
I'll make a motion to take the recommendation of the city clerk and Alderwoman Ross and go with Guarantee Bank as the depositor of the city.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And the motion passes. Next is to approve the utility adjustment docket.
I'm recusing that.
Let the record show that Alderman Miller is recusing from this vote and leaving the room before any discussion starts.
If there's no discussion, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. And that motion passes. Would someone call Alderman Miller back in so he doesn't miss our adjournment? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. This meeting is adjourned. Thank y'all.